Thank you all for coming out on this beautifully hazy December morning. Welcome to Lorain County Community College. Welcome to the Ben and Jane Norton Culinary Arts Center, specifically the Culinary Lobby, which we're very proud to showcase as often as we possibly can. This morning's a big morning. I've heard that we actually made the New York Times Twitter feed this morning. Is that correct, Tracy? Yeah, right? Yeah, so it's a big deal. Obviously, we're very proud to host this morning's event, and to get the morning started, I would like you to join me in welcoming our president of Lorain County Community College, Dr. Marcia Ballinger.
Thank you, Ron. It's just such a pleasure to welcome everyone here today. And for those of you who are participating via YouTube live stream channel, as we look at the wonderful results that Ohio has achieved as part of the replication of the CUNY ASAP model. Lorain County Community College is delighted to serve as the host for today's briefing. In fact, I can remember back now, probably 4 years ago, when Brett Visker from the Ohio Department of Higher Education and Rob Ivory, who's just retired from MDRC, when we met along with Amy Kerwin from Great Lakes in Columbus to talk about the possibility of Ohio launching a replication model and study for this. And so it is so exciting to see this come to fruition today. I am delighted to welcome you to our community college, and joining me today, I'm thrilled that we have 3 members of the District Board of Trustees for LCCC, Mr. Mike Sherman, who is an alum of Lorain County Community College, Tess Gardner, and Maggie Quinones. Thank you for being here. We are also joined today by the Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Higher Education, who you will be hearing from very shortly, along with members of his team, the founders of the ASAP program. And so joining us today from the City University of New York, CUNY, is represented by Christine Brognart, Executive Director of CUNY ASAP. And our colleague and friend, Colleen Somo, who's a Senior Associate at MDRC, and members of her team. And of course, Ascendium Education Group, which is formerly known as the Great Lakes Foundation. They have supported this study along with others. Representing Ascendium today is Dr. Rebecca Villarreal, who is the Director of Educational Grant Making. Thank you so much for being with us. Joining me is my colleague from Cincinnati State, Dr. Monica Posey, who is the president. And as you will hear shortly, Cincinnati State also has been part of the study, as well as our colleagues from Cuyahoga Community College, Dr. Lindsay English, Vice President of Learning Engagement, and Dwayne Keeney, who's the Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs. So the 3 of our colleges have been partners in making the phenomenal progress over the past several years. I want to thank Jack Hershey, President and CEO, and Tom Walsh, Vice President, both of the Ohio Association of Community Colleges, for not only attending today, but more importantly, for OACC providing tremendous leadership for all 23 community colleges, because what we are committed to in Ohio is our Student Success Leadership Institute and our student success initiatives. And so whatever we learn at any of our community colleges is how do we then work with all 23 community colleges to scale in Ohio, and that's how we are making the needle move. We also have many local partners and supporters joining us today, including Cindy Andrews, President and CEO of the Community Foundation, Cecilia Render, Executive Director of the Nordson Corporation Foundation, along with many other community partners. We have a robust program today that will not only tell the story of the results and the data of how they were achieved, but we also will be unveiling today what is the potential that this program represents to transforming lives in Ohio as individuals are on the route to an associate's degree, and most importantly, changing their socioeconomic status and that of their families. To provide the starting context, it is my pleasure to welcome to the podium our Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Higher Education, John Carey.
Good morning, everyone. It's indeed an honor to be here with you. And I just want to congratulate everyone here with all their great work, all their great support. And during my time as Chancellor, this will be one of the things I will look back on as one of the great successes during the Governor Kasich's administration, and look forward to continued efforts to help students as we move forward. Just pretend like it's thunderstorming outside. It's okay. And to be here with to hear and share the exciting news related to the Ohio versions of the CUNY's ASAP program. ASAP stands for Accelerated Study and Associated Programs. It took me some time as Brett coached me over and over again what that stood for, but I finally got it. So I'd particularly like to thank President Ballinger and Lorraine County Community College for hosting us today. And I'd like to thank MDRC for reaching out to Ohio and the City University of New York for pioneering this program with its innovative approach and providing technical assistance to Lorraine, as well as Tri-C and Cincinnati State, which are also part of this process. Throughout this time as governor, Governor Kasich has made college affordability a top priority. A big part of that is course and degree completion. And the educators involved here today, along with the associations, and really all of you have been involved with that course and degree completion, because we know that having debt with no degree or credential is the worst kind of debt. And it's been one of the main focuses of not only Governor Kasich, but of the legislature and of the community colleges and the other higher education stakeholders. So thank you. We've worked collaboratively with our higher education stakeholders across the state to put post-secondary education within reach of all students. We want those students to complete their degree or certificate. With that in mind, Cincinnati State, Cuyahoga Community College, and Lorraine County Community College set out to address their low-income students' needs by turning to ASAP, a program that has been shown to be effective in increasing student enrollment, credit accumulation, persistence, and graduation rates. Another component of having success with the ASAP program is that it helps Ohio to reach a statewide attainment goal. The nature of workforce is changing. Technology is evolving so quickly that the need for lifelong learning is more a reality than ever. Ohio has thousands of available jobs that are considered to be in demand in fields such as engineering, graphic design, nursing, and physical therapy, with more than 60% of these jobs paying more than $50,000 per year. With that in mind, it is important to put higher education within reach of all Ohioans. We want to make post-secondary education more accessible and more affordable for all students at all ages, in all phases of their life, so they can keep up with the changing world. We currently have 1 million adults in Ohio with some college but no degree. With that in mind, we created an attainment goal for Ohio where we want 65% of working age adults between 25 and 64 to have a degree or credential by 2025. So we want to connect those students with education needed to fill our in-demand jobs. Innovative programs such as ASAP can help students get that education. I look forward to hearing more this morning about the 2-year findings from the Ohio ASAP demonstration, and especially hearing from the students who have benefited from this program, because they're the most important part of this equation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chancellor Carey. Next on our agenda this morning, I'd like to bring to the podium Christine Bronyart. Christine is the Executive Director for the CUNY ASAP program, and Christine is here today to speak on that. Christine?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having us. I'm representing CUNY ASAP. I'm the University Executive Director of the program, which operates across 9 partner CUNY colleges under the system of the City University of New York. So I'm here to represent our office, represent our partnership. We've had a remarkable time watching the rollout of the program, and we were supporting the efforts in the planning phases, but the launch of SAIL has really taken on such an exciting trajectory, and I just wanted to take a moment this morning to share with you a little bit about CUNY ASAP's own trajectory of growth and expansion within the City University of New York's context, perhaps just as a note to see or exemplify the transformational power of this program and how it could really impact student transformational experiences and putting student success really at the center of university practice. So with that, I just wanted to take you through a couple of kind of foundational principles of the program and the model. The model is founded on a basic theory of action, really understanding that our community college students face a number of challenges, and we really want to ensure that there are no barriers to completion and momentum building. So removing all financial barriers to completion is a core element of the program, providing clear structures and a very, very comprehensive support structure to enhance momentum building through a very clear academic pathway. Clear expectations that are really, really exemplified through the advisement model, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment. And of course, this notion of connected community, really ensuring that students feel that they are a part of a community both at the college campus and a smaller, more intimate community through the cohort model. So CUNY took on this theory of action through pulling together known exemplary and high-impact practices through the model in and of itself, really just pulling together known practices to ensure that students graduated in a timely manner, and saying with full effort from the leadership level of our chancellery at the time, in partnership with the New York City Department of the Mayor's Office and also the Center for Economic Opportunity, to double our institutional graduation rates. So the model, again, is really about this notion of realizing our theory of action. We do that categorically in 3 main areas: financial resources, covering all out-of-pocket expenses for our students through the application of a tuition gap waiver. So our students, to be eligible, have to file for both federal and state aid, accept all aid awarded, and then the program then covers any gap between what is awarded and what they will need to pay in the form of tuition. Coverage of textbook expenses, coverage of transportation, key elements that, again, would be a prohibitive factor for students that we know are of our highest need for these kinds of supports, again, to ensure that the financial resources are not a prohibitive factor in pursuing their degree. Structured pathways in the form of comprehensive, consolidated full-time schedules for our students. Students are required to enroll in a minimum of 12 credits. We really want to maximize that full year, so we say 30 credits within that full academic year, ensuring that students have both consolidated full-time schedules and make use of that intersession, winter and summer session, to really ensure that they're maximizing their aid as well. And then first-year block courses is certainly a part of our model. We want to ensure that our students are having a cohort-based experience in their classes, having classes with their ASAP cohort in general education, developmental education courses, but it's also a mechanism to engage faculty, to ensure that faculty are engaged, they know who their ASAP students are, they're able to provide early alert and feedback to students, and their advisors more. So we're ensuring that students are moving towards their degree and that there isn't any prohibitive factor in terms of academic performance that would derail them from that path. And then, of course, we provide comprehensive supports in the form of our model, which is the heart and soul of on the heels of our academic advisement. Academic advisement is really the cornerstone, as you'll hear from our students, I'm sure, really the critical element of our program, ensuring high-touch, responsive advisement services to students. We do that in the way of a triage model where students are categorized in need so that they are able to meet with their advisors in the way in which and modality in which their needs demand. So high-need students, of course, have more contact hours with their advisor than, say, low-need students, and that categorization is really fluid. Students can move across need levels depending on their performance and need. So that, along with dedicated career services, with academic support such as tutoring and supplemental instruction, and of course early engagement, is such a critical part of our model. Early engagement ensuring that students are identifying as ASAP students, pre-matriculation, in the summer before they start in the fall, and they really understand how to navigate the resources that the program offer and the resources available at the college itself. So this is all very familiar. This is our ASAP model, and it was adopted with fidelity here at Lorain County Community College with the SAIL program. So the model is really, really structured. Again, it's really comprehensive, and again, it really just pulls from what we know to be high-impact practices that put the center at the center of the experience. Our graduation rates have been something that, of course, have garnered a lot of attention. We've doubled our completion rates, 3-year completion rates, even through our CUNY-wide expansion still hold. We'll see that even in the time of expansion, which I'll take you through, we've been able to maintain a 53% 3-year completion rate compared to 24% for our comparison group. So we're really excited that this, again, continues to be the doubling promise that we made when we began and launched in 2007. Our research that we conduct internally is only as good as it's validated externally, and so we were really, really able to, again, validate our findings through the support and partnership of MDRC, who conducted a random assignment study and released those 3-year findings in 2015. So it's so great to see this also unfolding here at Lorain County Community College. Very similar findings at the 2-year mark that we also saw within CUNY. But the doubling of the rates was verified and validated through MDRC's RCT study. We also have some interesting research conducted by the Teachers College at Columbia University, which really demonstrates the cost effectiveness of the program. So even though ASAP does have higher upfront costs, it saves $6,500 per graduate. And for every dollar invested by the taxpayer in ASAP, $3.50 is returned due to increased tax revenues and social service savings. So these are really important implications of the program in terms of expense and cost. A full report of that cost-benefit analysis is available online if you're interested in looking at that. So the impact of our program, the power of our evidence base, the investment by the City of New York and our mayor's office has really put us on a high-speed trajectory of expansion across CUNY. We're now serving 25,000 students this academic year, and that's the funding at which we are sustaining, and we are baselined by the City of New York to complete that trajectory. So we will be really fulfilling what has been a remarkable expansion across CUNY. We were able to expand the program beyond our 9 community colleges, or 6 community colleges. We're now at 9 colleges across the CUNY system. We are also expanding the model to the 4-year context. So all of the practices are maintained in the 4-year context. It's a doubling of the 4-year graduation rate. And this is the ACE program. ACE is now implemented at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, and will be launching its pilot cohort this fall at Lehman College in the Bronx. So it's a really exciting implication in terms of the power of the model in the senior college context. We have been on, again, an expansive trajectory of growth. We've served 46,000 students in 12 cohorts since 2007. A focus of our expansion has also been to serve more STEM students, so that has been a very specific enrollment and recruitment target for us to attract students in those particular fields and ensure that they have added academic supports and resources to support that field of study. And we're on a really interesting exploratory investigation of what the model looks like when a college adopts the model at scale. So at Bronx Community College, the college has basically adopted the model for all eligible full-time first-time freshmen. So this academic year we'll realize 5,000 ASAP students at Bronx Community College, and we're really excited about the implications of how that has moved more systemic reforms at the college itself. Another important note I think is worth consideration is that the cost per student as we've expanded has remarkably declined. So what you'll see in most literature is a pretty significant upfront cost per student of $6,000 per student over and above FTEs. Through expansion, through economies of scale, through our ability to maximize our administrative structure of the program, which is the highest lift in terms of costs, we've been able to drive down that price or per student or cost per student to $3,400 per student. So we're excited about that potential as well. You'll hear a little bit more of the cost implications here within the Ohio context. I think remarkably, this expansion within CUNY has really had broad, systemic, transformational impact across CUNY, where we're, through the expansion, really elevating that 3-year rate across the university, doubling the rate university-wide from 17%. By 2022, the university 3-year completion rate will be 34%. So the implications, again, of the model and the impact for system-level reform is truly remarkable. And I know that is what is the driving force behind Lorain County Community College's own investment in the SAIL program. So thank you very much for allowing me the time to walk you through CUNY's history. Again, just really excited about the potential that this pivotal moment has for Lorain County. Thank you, President Ballinger, Chancellor Carey, Brett at ODHE, and of course our friends at MDRC for continuing to keep this model at the forefront of the dialogue in higher education. And thank you for having me at this event.
Christine, they say replication is the most sincere form of flattery. So noticing the pictures that you had in there with the kids holding each other and big smiles and stuff like that, the 4 students that we'll bring up later, expect a phone call from me soon badgering you to do that. The thing will be is you guys to decide which one of you will be actually being held. So check your insurance, make sure it's paid, and we'll get that done. Thank you, Christine, for your presentation. Up next to speak on Ohio's replication, speaking of replication, of the CUNY ASAP model will be Brett Visker. Brett is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Institutional Collaboration and Completion at the Ohio Department of Higher Education. Brett?
Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody here, and especially to MDRC and CUNY for really teeing up and having great conversations. I'd like to thank the Chancellor for his support and leadership throughout this, our partners at OACC who have been helpful throughout this, as well as Ascendium. One of the things that's been really interesting, and as the Chancellor mentioned, Ohio has really been focused on student success for the last number of years. Our performance funding formula. We've also had, legislature has asked each institution to articulate how they would increase their completion rates through completion plans, and our institutions have been working really, really hard at trying to figure out how to better serve student success. So when the opportunity came up to look at the ASAP program, we thought, wow, this is wonderful to help inform all of Ohio, more than just the 3 colleges. And I think the piece that I really would like to suggest to everybody, not to build a plane as you fly it. I'm really impressed with the results that came along, but I want to point out that the 3 colleges were implementing and starting the program at the same time that MDRC was doing the RCT. That is no small feat. And so the leadership of the 3 colleges and the directors who really marshaled this through did a remarkable job, and I really want to thank them. And if you can stand up, just so we can recognize you for all your hard work on student success. So as Christine mentioned, ASAP is a highly structured program, and I'm going to steal from my friend Rob Ivory at MDRC. Part of the magic of it is about reciprocal obligation. And the piece to this is the college says, we will provide you with these supports. We will cover your tuition, we will provide you with advising, and textbooks and all of these critical things. In return, you have to go full-time. You have to meet with students. And by having that, or advisors, by having that reciprocal obligation, there is magic that occurs. And the data that you will see is impressive on what comes out. But I think more importantly is to shift and not think of this as a boutique program, but think about what it informs system-wide. And I know all of the colleges that participated, it has changed some of how they're approaching advising, student intake, and all of those other components that are really critical. The other part that requires a shift in thinking, and as the numbers that, this is the criticism that we've heard from folks all along. It's an expensive program. It costs more to provide the wraparound services. But there are two things to think about in terms of shifting. One, the longer you retain a student and that they pay tuition and they work toward completion, increase in revenues to the institution. There is a change over time if more students are paying tuition longer and following through to completion. So those sorts of supports help offset the costs of implementing the institution, or implementing this initiative. The other side to it is really looking at cost per graduate and trying to think about what happens at the end and how many students are getting through. So there are lots of rationales. Lorraine has worked to do a very interesting cost-benefit study that I'm sure folks will talk a little bit more. But our hope as we go forward is to continue learning from these programs, continue to engage policy conversations to say, what can we take from this to inform other colleges? Look, are there policy solutions that can help expand these opportunities for students at other institutions, and then trying to see what else can come out of these groundbreaking results. So I want to thank everybody again, and again, especially thank the students and the colleges for their outstanding leadership.
Thank you, Brett. Up next to speak on doubling graduation rates is the Senior Associate at MDRC, Colleen Somo. Colleen.
There we are. So I also want to thank Cincinnati State, Tri-C, and Lorraine, as well as the Ohio Department of Higher Ed and CUNY for just being tremendous partners throughout this entire demonstration. So several years ago, as Christine mentioned, MDRC had the opportunity to conduct a randomized controlled trial of their ASAP program. And looking at 3-year results, we found that students who had the opportunity to participate in this program were graduating at nearly double the rate of students who had access to all of the college's typical services. And this was really an incredible finding. So the next question for us was, could other colleges be successful in implementing this program? Would it work in other contexts for other students? And to be honest with you, the history of replication is such that replication sites generally don't achieve the same size impacts as the original. So this was a really important question to answer. And in 2014, we had the opportunity to begin to address these questions through the ASAP Ohio demonstration. So to begin with the highlights, what we found is that most of the program components were implemented as planned. And really importantly, the 2-year graduation rates more than doubled in this evaluation. So students in the program group graduated at more than twice the rate of students in the control group. In addition, we're finding that the total program cost, the annual program cost per student per year is about $2,300 per student. So before diving further into some of these findings, I wanted to share some of the background of the demonstration. So as we discussed, the three institutions in this demonstration were Tri-C, Cincinnati State, and Lorraine. CUNY was on board and provided really strong technical assistance around the program model. The Ohio Department of Higher Ed served as a partner. They helped coordinate activities throughout and were really integral in this process. Again, MDRC was able to implement a randomized control trial. This is really important because an RCT allows us to control for both observable and unobservable characteristics. So it controls for things like motivation and grit. So when you see differences between the two groups, you can really confidently attribute those to the program itself and not underlying differences like students that just signed up for the program first, for example. So in the end, we had about 1,500 students that are in the research sample, and the results that I'm going to share with you today are based on that full study sample pooled across the three colleges. This slide shows some demographics. So like most community college populations, the students were older, with about a third of them being adult learners. 60% of the students were working at the time of intake. More than half of the students were a race other than white. About a third were the first in their family to attend college, and 3/4 of the students had one or more developmental education course needs. And overall, about 50% of the students were considered non-traditional. So turning to the program model, the goal here was for the schools to implement the model as close to the CUNY ASAP model as possible. There were a couple of key differences. So one is that the Ohio programs did follow CUNY's newer model of the triage advising. Another key difference was that the Ohio colleges used $50 gas or grocery cards instead of the Metro cards as the monthly incentives, just because that's what makes sense in this context. So now we're going to turn to the two-year findings. So the main takeaway from our implementation research was that the programs were largely implemented as designed. In particular, the advising and financial incentives were implemented as they were planned. But like most programs, new programs especially, there were some challenges, and the colleges, for the most part, worked to identify ways to strengthen them. So for example, the tutoring and career services components had some struggle in terms of getting all the students to meet this benchmark. So throughout the process, the colleges did work to expand their service offerings, and over time were able to get more students to take advantage of these program components. One program component that was not implemented as planned was the blocked courses, though again, the colleges did work to find other creative ways to try to make this cohorting happening, generally informally shuffling students into the same sections of courses, for example. Okay, so now we're getting into the impact findings. And what I'm going to show you is how did these colleges end up doubling graduation rates. And it really starts by improving enrollment rates and getting students to earn more credits. So what this first bar chart is showing you is that this is looking at both persistence and full-time enrollment over the first 4 semesters. And the dark blue bars are showing you the program group, and the light blue bars are showing you the control group. So what we see is that the program helped many more students persist in college throughout the follow-up period. There are large impacts on enrollment and even larger impacts on full-time enrollment. And this impact on full-time enrollment starts as early as the first semester. This is really important because at the time of random assignment, just before this happened, students in both groups said that they were willing to go to school full-time. But quickly, without having those additional requirements and supports that the ASAP model provides, many of the control group students quickly dropped to part-time status. The implication of this is that there is a large group of students that would go to school full-time if they did have these supports in place. This is my bonus slide that's not in your brief. Felt like it's like back footage. So I also wanted to point out that the programs did encourage summer enrollment. And what we see here is that in that first summer, students in the program group enrolled in summer at nearly twice the rate of students in the control group. And there's also a sizable impact on summer enrollment for the second year as well. So this is just to point out that there is a lot of room for improvement during summer, and we see that you can get students to take more advantage of this. And these effects on enrollment did lead to credit accumulation impacts, which is what we were hoping for. So this bar chart is showing you cumulative credits earned. But what we found is that, on average, students in the program group earned about 2 additional credits each semester. So by the end of the 2 years, they were ahead, on average, by about 8 credits. So this is very large. And I should say all of these findings are in line with what we found in the CUNY ASAP evaluation. And this is the slide that we've all been waiting for. So again, at the end of 2 years, students in the program group graduated at more than double the rate of students in the control group. We're going to continue to follow these outcomes for at least another year because students are able to receive these services through 3 years. I also wanted to note that we looked at these impacts for various subgroups. So we looked across institutions, we looked at students that had dev ed needs, adult learners, non-traditional, and across the board, we see that this program is successful for all of these groups of students. And again, this is very similar to what we found in the CUNY ASAP evaluation, providing further evidence that this program can be successful for various groups of students. So turning to the cost, what we are finding at this point, again, this will continue for another year as well, but that the additional cost here is about $2,300 per student per year. So 42% of this is related to program management and administration, and this is a cost that we think would go way down as you expand the program because the size of the programs were relatively small during the evaluation period. About a third of the costs were for financial supports, including the monthly incentives, the textbooks, and the tuition waiver. And about a quarter of the costs were for student services, the bulk of which being the academic advising. So the Ohio costs were much lower than what we had found as part of the CUNY ASAP evaluation. And some of the reasons for this were just lower salaries because of lower cost of living here. Again, the Ohio models were implementing the newer CUNY ASAP version of triage advising. There's also the lack of blocked courses, which had a cost under the CUNY condition. And the monthly incentives are about half the cost of what they are in New York, so the $50 card versus a Metro card, which is over $100 a month. We also think that the Ohio programs were able to take advantage of some of the existing services on their campus in terms of the tutoring and career services, which held some of the costs down. And as Christine noted, the CUNY cost has come down significantly over time, which I think is just important to keep in mind as well. So what's next for the evaluation? So about a year from now, we will be putting out the 3-year results, looking at 3-year graduation, taking a deeper look into the implementation. We have some survey results to look at treatment contrast, and we'll be extending the cost work. We're also going to be embarking on a randomized control trial of Westchester Community College's replication of ASAP in New York that CUNY is currently providing technical assistance on as well. And just before I end, I want to give a big thank you to all of the funders who supported this work because we literally could not do this without them. So thank you very much.
Dr. Ballinger.
Colleen, thank you so much for sharing the results and all of the great research and evaluation from MDRC. I echo your shout out to all of the funders because truly it has been a heavy lift and the support from all of the funders has been just instrumental in making this happen. It's very exciting to look at Lorain County Community College's results. As you heard reference from Christine, our program at Lorain County Community College we branded as SAIL. And SAIL is Students Accelerating in Learning. And so as we have launched SAIL, it has been part of our laser-focused plan on student completion and success, which began in earnest back in 2011. That was really the year that we put on the map for our college the priority under the leadership of our Board of Trustees, represented today by our chairman, Terry Good, as well as our other members of the board that I've introduced. It was how do we change and transform our graduation and completion rate for our students, and at the same time make a greater impact within our community. So in 2011, that was a pivotal year for us. We're very thankful to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for investing in Ohio as part of Completion by Design, and Lorraine was one of those colleges in addition to Sinclair and Stark. And secondly, it was the year that we became an Achieving the Dream institution. So those really were launch points for us. And when we had the opportunity to become part of the SAIL replication model, it was a natural fit for us and one that we were very excited about and ready to jump into. Our program mimicked the CUNY ASAP model in many ways, some slight deviations as Colleen shared with you. But it really was a team here that has made this possible. I would like to recognize our provost, Dr. Jonathan Dryden. Jonathan, at the time, was serving in a role as a liaison for completion, moved into the provost role, and he has really been the champion of this initiative. So thank you, Jonathan. Our SAIL team, since the very beginning, Matt Mercado is here, and Matt has served as the coordinator. Our advisors have been, and you're going to hear from some of our students in just a few minutes, and they are going to bring this to life for you. But we are very indebted to our advisors because that is part of the magic of what happens. Cynthia Arredondo, as well as Whitney Hoagland. So thank you all so much. And as we are in the process at LCCC of scaling SAIL, because we know it works and we've doubled down on it, just as our graduation rates are doubling, we have doubled down on SAIL. And that is under the leadership of our Associate Provost for Student Completion and Success and Enrollment Management, Marissa Vernon White. Thank you, Marissa. So as we started with the program, we followed the requirements and had our program group and our control groups and started to, when we saw the results, initially we looked at how do we invest in it ourselves, because we knew that part of what we needed to achieve was to scale it. So we have, in fact, taken in our own cohorts of students, and you can see some of the numbers in back of me. But what's really important, I think, is looking at the demographics of the who we're serving. This is one of our major strategies to close achievement gaps. And closing the achievement gaps, as you can see, SAIL serves the most vulnerable students at Lorain County Community College. These are students who we are laser focused on getting to that finish line. All of them, 100%, are under-resourced. That means they're Pell eligible. Nearly half come from minority backgrounds. And we've made a strategic effort to work with our partners in the community, like El Centro and Lorain City Schools. And many, about half of our students in SAIL are first-generation students. And we know that when you are a first-gen student, you typically don't have all of the support and college-going culture within a family. In 2015, our three-year graduation rate was 15% college-wide. In 2018, this year, our SAIL students' three-year graduation rate is 41%. So while Colleen shared with you that statewide in our 3 colleges, our 2-year graduation rates, we've doubled, we've more than doubled. I like to think ahead and look at how we've tripled. So that's what we are focused on. You know, the data is impressive. We know that the model is a game changer. I would like to say that it is a life changer. So a game changer, a life changer, which meant how do we rethink what we do and how we do it at Lorain County Community College. And so the model that we have transformed to is one that is based on pathways. It's one that this fall we took in 215 students on our own without being part of the program. And our goal is to have 1,000 students in this program within the next 5 years, and so we are well on our way to doing that. And then I want to think even bigger, Chancellor, because we know it is so powerful. How can we do this throughout Ohio, working in collaboration with the Ohio Association of Community Colleges to make a difference in the lives of community college students throughout the state of Ohio? So it is now my pleasure to welcome back Ron Yance, who is going to be introducing to you the most exciting part of today, and that's the student panel, so that you can hear directly from our students about what SAIL has meant to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ballinger. So we've had a lot of data so far to this point. I like to call it nuts and bolts, things that are needed, things that are analyzed, things that determine, a strategic plan moving forward. And as Dr. Ballinger said, it's now time to bring it all to life. I think what's really important is that all of us in the room today, and then when you go out and speak to the people that you speak to, you can say, this really works and it's effective. So we're going to give you those examples right now. We're going to bring up 4 students. I'll bring them up one at a time. The first person that I bring up, I'd like you to sit immediately to my left and then follow in order. And that's important because we have you mic'd in a specific way. So we'll see how good you are at following directions. And LaPrice, you're the first one up. So we're going to bring LaPrice Thomas up to the stage. LaPrice coming up. While they come up, I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one. LaPrice, I got her permission to say she's 47 years old. I have a wife and 3 daughters, so I know how important that is to get the permission from my wife to say how old she is. 3 years ago, LaPrice made a conscious decision. Her and her husband, they had 5 children at the time, 4 of which were at home. LaPrice had spent her entire career in corporate America, successful, earning a fine wage, supporting her family along with her husband. And she said, time is now for me to make a change. So she did. She wanted to become an engineer. So she took a risk with 4 children at home and changed her careers. So please welcome LaPrice Thomas. Darissa Johnson is next. Darissa is 22. I first met Darissa 4 years ago. She was 18 years old. She had just earned her GED. She had not graduated from high school. She earned her GED. Not only was she the first in her family to pursue college, she was also the first in her family to get a high school diploma. Her mother or father, neither had a high school diploma. And so Darissa took it upon herself with the inspiration of her parents, saying, this is a need, this is what you need to do, and she went out and she got her GED. She's very interested in the medical field, earned an associate with us in medical assisting, and now is pursuing a bachelor's through our university partnership. Darissa Johnson. Next up is Zach McConnon. Zach, come on up. Zach is 20 years old. He's from Sheffield Lake. Zach is one of 14 children in his family. He's number 2 in the hit parade. And, naturally, I asked myself, when he said he was one of 14 children, I thought, what is it, a Brady Bunch situation? Dad came with 7, Mom came with 7. How did that work? He goes, no. He says, my mother and father have been married forever, and my mom gave birth to 14 kids. I said, were there any twins there? Was it 14? No, 14. So God bless your mother, Zach. Unbelievable. She deserves to be up here today. Yeah. And not only that, he's homeschooled. She homeschools all 14 children. Zach is an accomplished author. He's a published author. And he is in our SAIL program, and he wants to be an elementary school teacher. And we're going to hear more from Zach in a moment. And last but not least is Alyssa Earl. Alyssa, come on up. Alyssa is 20. She's from Lorraine. She is a first generation, first in her family to go to college. She is a psychology major. She's in our university partnership program through Cleveland State. She is the treasurer in the psychology honorary fraternity here on campus, very active on our campus, and we're glad to have Alyssa Earl with us today. Alyssa? Now, all four of you are mic'd, so feel free to talk amongst yourself, but I'll ask a question directly to, let's start with, say, LaPrice, and we'll move down the line. And the first question I think maybe the audience would be interested in hearing is how you came about the SAIL program. How did it come into your, focus? So let's start with you, LaPrice, first.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ron. Back in 2015, I was, like you said, I was looking for a change in my career, and as I was aging, I said it's better now or never. So I went ahead and started looking into programs. If I could go into it just a little bit about how I even came about in the engineering program. This is where I am focused on and where I'm headed. Back when my daughter we have 4 boys and a daughter. She was interested in the engineering program, and she, through the NASA pipeline, was able to go on to do great things. And we were, of course, her father and I were, taking her to summer classes and an internship that she earned in the 9th grade at NASA Glenn Research Center. And also, during some summer programs, we had to take them. So, as we took them for years and years, and I say them, my daughter and our youngest son, he was, of course, attached to us because he was the youngest. But he really wasn't very interested, but she did go on. But at that time, just working with them and helping them along the way sparked my interest in engineering. Well, to fast forward many years later, maybe 10, 12 years later, I said, you know what? Corporate America, where I was, you got so far. And I was really ready to really jump in and say, you know what? I do still have this to fall back on if it doesn't work. But I'm going to focus on obtaining a degree in mechanical engineering. And I did that. Spring of 2015, I signed on. And I get emotional about it because it's still kind of new. Still kind of, it's right there. It touches me because it's my life. But I went ahead and signed on for classes, and I met with Cynthia at the Lorraine site because I am from Lorraine, and it worked out for my schedule, and I was very grateful that she was able to meet me there. And at the time, I hadn't heard anything about SAIL. When I heard about SAIL, I believe Matt came up to our one of our SDEV classes to introduce the program. And he went into it, it was, they'll help you with tuition and blah, 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 and blah, blah. So, and I'm sure he said a lot more than that, but that sparked my interest because education is so expensive. And I got stuck there for a second. I'm thinking, wow, if I could get help with tuition, that would be great. So they asked us to come down, and I believe it was kind of like a lottery thing. Like we went through a computer screen, and it went on, and you answer questions. And I said, well, I'm going to take time. I called my job because of course, I've worked full time with all of these classes for the last 3 years. But I called my job and said, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit late. So I went down and applied. I went through everything, and lo and behold, the last screen said, you're in. And I was so excited, you know, and it was just it's like a weight off, you know, and even going into all of the financial help. And I mean, it was just amazing to even know that anything like this existed. Like I said, when I signed on, I didn't know SAIL existed, but sorry, I'm so long, but but I get really excited. But just, you know, and as I have, you know, gotten used to SAIL and in the program, and Cynthia has been, I give her so much of an applause because she is so dedicated, and she's so helpful, and she's so knowledgeable, and she's so calm. I mean, because I'm telling you, freaking out. You're working full time, and you know you have
4 children at home.
Well, it was 4 at home, you know, and then our oldest son, who's married, and he has a son that was premature, so he was born at 24 weeks, and you know he has some challenges with his brain issues and that, and I had my father passed away in these last 3 years, and I had my gallbladder removed in these last 3 years. You know, and you're still working full time, and you're still doing everything you do. But when you go in to talk to her about your school life and regular life, she's so calm and so helpful. So you know, it's an awesome thing. I'm so grateful to LCCC. I'm so grateful to Dr. Ballinger. I'm so grateful to Matt for even coming up to even tell us about it. And Cynthia for just helping me so much along the way.
Thank you, LaPrice.
You're welcome.
I have to let you know, in 15 seconds, the power pack that's underneath you was going to explode you into the ceiling because you only have so much time and you almost reached it. Just, you know, just to let you know. No, but I think that shows the passion that she has and what the difference that has been made in her life. Darissa, how did you find us? The question is, how did SAIL come into your life?
Well, SAIL came into my life randomly. I've always pushed for the city centers, the Lorraine Learning Center, St. Joe's, the high school, just knowing that it was all open. And Cynthia was always there in Lorraine, and I seen her one day, and I'm like, you know what? I got my GED. I want to go to college. And we had a conversation about how there's this SAIL, and, you know, let's see if I can qualify. Qualified, so happy, so ecstatic. Like she said, the benefits are very helpful for those who do not have money to do certain things, and for the books and tuition and the tutoring, it pushes you. And when I met her and I got approved, I just kept working towards it and just kept meeting with her and listening to her and getting pushed for full time, and you know, I was just sticking to it for the most part.
Thank you. Zach, before you answer, I got to let you know, Zach's older sister comes to college with him here at Lorraine County. She's here in attendance, right? Yeah. Zach carries his older sister's books to campus and throughout campus. So now, with 14 kids at home, age 21 through 3, correct? Yeah. What's it like at breakfast in the morning? I mean, do you get to eat?
A lot of cooking. You put in 6 pieces of bread in the toaster oven, and then we switch them out for another 6. And, we have 2 cooking trays, and we flip like 12 eggs and do it again. And sometimes we just have cereal, 12 bowls, and we go through like 2 bags a day.
Captain Crunch or Lucky Charms?
Both.
Zach, how did you find SAIL?
Whitney. I found it with Whitney. I was going to find an advisor to see if college was right for me and my sister. We were a little nervous about it because we never even really considered it all throughout high school. I was just like, nah, I don't want to go to college. It sounds like too much work. So I just told myself I wasn't ever going to go to college. But then when my parents finally said, you should probably consider it, otherwise you have to get a different type of job, like laboring or something, I'm like, okay, I'll consider it. So I went with Kylie, my parents, and Whitney was there, and she gave us a chance to get into SAIL, and it would help cover the book costs and give us a $50 gas gift card that would pay for the cost of getting there. So we looked at that together, and we applied for it, which what I was told was a flip of a coin, really, heads, tails type of thing. So someone got in before us, so that was scary because we thought it was going to be a no. But then I got it, and I got in, and then Kylie took it right after me, my sister, and then she got it too. So we were happy that we could both get it because I really only wanted to go to college if she could go to college with me. So I'm glad we could go together. We started out in the fields together, and it was a big shock getting into college. There was a lot of tutoring that we had to do and everything, and SAIL helped us keep on task with that. They were very motivational, and I want to thank you, Whitney, for being there for me for when I first got started out. Really appreciate it. You too, Matt, for helping me. It was amazing getting started, and when I got started, I went to tutoring a lot, found out that I really liked English more than I thought I did in high school. So I started writing my first book when I got into LCCC, and I started writing that and taking full-time classes, and then in the summers I was off, I continued writing, and I got better and better, and here I am now.
Alyssa, you told me if you could have seen me then and then see me now, you referred to the SAIL program, then meaning when you discovered it, when you started it, and now on your way to a bachelor's degree in psychology through the university partnership. So take us back to then.
Okay, just like all the other, excuse me, my voice is strong, sorry. Okay, so just like all the other SAIL participants mentioned, I was in class when Cynthia came in, and she was just advertising the SAIL program and explaining to us the different benefits like they were mentioning, as well as that you would have to go full-time and make all these other adjustments. So there was the random drawing with the computer like you guys mentioned. So right after she mentioned the program, I was like, I have to try to get in, like it's a must. So I instantly went, and just like Darissa, I was currently at the Lorraine site because that's where I started. I live over in Lorraine. So prior to the SAIL program, we'll get there. It's kind of a long story, not as long as yours, but we'll get there. No, you're fine. I enjoyed it. But no, so I went through the process of answering the questions and going to see if I qualified. And on the last page, just like you said, I got that confirmation that I was officially in the SAIL program. So for the next couple weeks, like I said, Cynthia mentioned that you had to go full time. I started college straight out of high school. I'm currently 22 years old. So the first semester, I was taking a couple courses, and that's how it was. I started with like 2 or 3 courses, 6 to 9 credit hours, not full-time. So that transition to go full-time scared me. Just like all the other participants, like I was working, I had other things that I had to tend to at home, and to just say, you know, forget all those things and put school first. And I'm getting emotional too. I appreciate you, Cynthia, for, excuse me, guys, for helping me to put school first and saying, you know, you gotta put work aside, everything else, and you got to do for you and put education first. So that's what I did. So I dropped down from working full-time, and I decided to go to school full-time. Cynthia was on me for weeks. She was in my inbox. She's like, she's in my email like, are you still interested? Are you gonna, you know, go full-time? And as I said, I was like really nervous about that. So the whole thing for me was just like, oh my goodness, am I gonna do this? But I did. So I dropped down to 2 days a week at work, and I started putting school first. And I appreciate Cynthia, I appreciate the program, I appreciate LCC, Dr. Ballinger, and everybody else who implemented the program, because without it, like I said, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Being on campus full-time opened up a lot of doors for me. When you're part-time, you kind of like in and out, you just go to your classes and you're in and out. When you're full-time, you get to see more of the boards and things that are posted on them, different things that are going on campus. So like you said, I'm pretty active now on campus because I spend a lot of time here. So it's like, what else did I do? I work on campus, you know. And along with all the other financial benefits, like it was very beneficial, but just being here and getting that college experience that a lot of students don't get at a community college was very inspiring. Like, another thing, I was able to, because once you take so many courses at the Lorraine sites, we only offer so many at our learning sites, so you get further in your degree and you eventually have to start coming to the main campus here in Elyria. And I didn't have a car at the time, so there was a program that I was able to get a car through, the Buy Car program, and that was very helpful, because then I was able to, instead of taking online classes, which to me are not as beneficial as land-based classes, I was able to save up the money, get a car. They helped me out, so I was able to get a decent car, and I'm here now. I'm able to get back and forth, and then you also got the gift cards and things like that that also help to keep us, getting to and fro to class.
So, yeah, go ahead. Yep. Something that Alyssa mentioned, she mentioned the full-time component, and I think it was in Christine's presentation, you talked about, how that was so important. You've already answered the question, but the other three, just, real briefly, if you weren't in the SAIL program with somebody pressing you to go full-time, this is what, you're going to go full-time, would you be at the point you're at right now in your education if you were doing it 1 or 2 classes at a time when you could? Zach, why don't we start with you right next to Alyssa?
Truthfully, I really think that SAIL helped me decide to go full-time. I was planning on going full-time already, but it would have been way more difficult without the means of transportation, which is the gas card for it. That's what we used it for. I think that SAIL really helped me to get there. It provided me the textbook support and pushed me over to the point where I decided to go full-time.
Darissa?
I feel like the being obligated and being pushed and always on call and always convenient at the learning center, it just gets you there better. I feel like other than that, I'd be taking 1 class a semester. I'd probably be old by the time I graduated, but I feel like if it wasn't for the push, I may not want to do it as much. I feel like I'm fighting challenges, like I'm succeeding, I'm getting somewhere, so very, very beneficial.
It's important to know your audience, and speaking to this audience, be careful when you say, I'd be old by the time I graduated. LaPrice?
Well, no, definitely not. I would not be as far as I am today, only because us old people know what it's like to be parents. And like I said, my daughter, she attended Tennessee, and then she went on. She's at Mary Washington University of Virginia right now. And just the guilt of, making sure that she has everything she needs. And with my husband and I mean, without the SAIL program, there would be no way, like financially, I would sleep at night knowing that I'm taking away pretty much from her, to get the job done for her. So
now, in order to stand task, I'm just going to ask you guys all one more question. I think that it's been crystal clear that your counselors, your connection to Lorain County Community College and the SAIL program with Cynthia, with Matt, with Whitney. Why don't you 3 stand up real quick? Has been a big deal. So the other goal, I think, of the SAIL program is when you leave us is that you've had a holistic presentation by SAIL, that you leave confident, that you leave prepared for whatever it is that your career choice has been. So if we could start with LaPrice and then work down to Alyssa. Last question, do you feel you're getting that holistic presentation, support from SAIL? Are you confident? Are you prepared to start your career? Go ahead.
absolutely. I've started my career. I graduated in May, yay! with an Associate of Arts degree, an Associate of Applied Science, and also 2 certifications. And I did it in 3 years. It's challenging. However, yes, I am definitely prepared. I work for NASA Glenn Research Center, Maythia Technologies. I'm a project coordinator there, and I'm telling you, I was prepared for it. Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Before Darissa answers, I just want to, I said 4 years ago when I met her, we went down to the apartment complex that she grew up in downtown Lorraine off Broadway. And here was a young woman who was taking it upon herself with the inspiration of her parents to say, I'm going to walk to, at the time it was St. Joseph Learning Center that Lorraine County Community College was in Lorraine. And that's not an easy walk from where her apartment complex is to St. Joseph. And so there's initiative even in the mind and the heart of a young 18-year-old who at the time didn't have that example in her life of what education could be. So Darissa, I'm real proud of you. You're doing a great job. So go ahead.
Yeah, I went from being homeless to graduating to not having a car, to not having a job, to everything, having a job with LCC, to working hand in hand with Cynthia instead of as her student. I couldn't be more thankful. I just couldn't be. So can you rephrase that question for me, please? Please and thank you.
Prepared as you go through the SAIL program?
I would say I am more confident, and as she would say, I'm Cynthia's overachiever now, as I would have been back then, you know, walking over them snow piles to driving past them now. So I am very thankful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe I am ready to start working. I really want to start working. But before I can start working, I have to go to do more school. Hey! So after the 2 years at Lorraine County Community College and all the SAIL support I received, I was so thankful for it. But now that I'm going back for the bachelor's, I miss SAIL. I really do. I asked them, does SAIL go over to the 4-year degree, the bachelor's? And they're like, no. I'm like, are you sure that's not something you want to consider? No. I'm like, because I really liked the support I received for them, the tutoring sessions that I got, and the workshops that they provided for me. It was all such a great experience, and it's one that my brothers are going to be doing soon here. They're both graduating high school this year, so I'm very excited about that. They have one more semester to do left in high school, and they're moving on, and then they're going to be joining college. And Whitney said she'll take them on as her students, and I'm very excited about that because they want to join too. I'm just so thankful for all the support I received, and I am ready to start working, but until then I'm just going to keep doing my best in all my academic work and keep writing. And I've already started my second book. I'm writing it now. So I'm very, very thankful for all the support I received. Thank you so much.
Zach is pursuing a career. He wants to be an elementary school teacher. I just can't see him connecting to young kids. Can you? I just, I don't know. I think you need to smile more. I think maybe that's something we could work on. You know I'm teasing you. Yes, yeah, I know. Oh, they like him, he said. I don't know if his mic was on. He says, I love little kids. They like me. There's no doubt. Alyssa, wrap us up. Finish strong.
All right. So one more time for the question. I'm sorry.
Do you feel SAIL is preparing you for your career and giving you the self-confidence that you'll need to meet the obstacles, the barriers, and the challenges that come along the way?
Most definitely. I think SAIL beyond prepared me for all the obstacles that I've been facing. To give more credit again to the advisors, because without them, the program probably wouldn't be running as smoothly as it does. A lot of students don't have, well, they have an advisor to schedule classes, but that's about it. And some students schedule classes on their own. So to actually have that advisor that you're meeting with once or twice, or even whenever you just want to email her and meet with her a week, or a month, excuse me, is very beneficial to have that encouragement that you might not be getting elsewhere, pushing you. Cynthia was always like my #1 supporter going through. Like, she's always pushing me and acknowledging when I'm doing better. And, so I would definitely say that SAIL encouraged me to be more confident. I graduated in May as well with my associates, and I'm currently working on my bachelor's. So I don't think without the SAIL program that I would be where I'm at. I think I'd still be probably working on the associate degree. So I'm just very grateful, thankful to the program, to the ASAP program that started this, to LCC for implementing it, excuse me. And overall, I don't know, I'm just very excited and very encouraged and just thankful for the program as a whole because of all the beneficial things it's done for me in my life and my peers as well. Seeing everybody succeed, like I was getting emotional hearing all your guys' story. I've been watching some of you guys come up and you guys are doing awesome. So I'm just glad that the program was able to help us all get to where we need to be and continue going further.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Darissa. Thank you, LaPriest. They did a great job and are fantastic examples of SAIL. Now, you guys should make sure that you turn your microphones off as you walk back. That way, when you walk back to your table and you go, I am so hungry I could eat a horse right now, the entire room doesn't hear you say that. Jeremy, you'll pot them down, correct? Good. All right. Up next, to talk about lessons and opportunities, the Director of Education grant making for Ascendium is Rebecca Villarreal. Rebecca?
Can we just get one more round of applause for those students? They are fantastic. I definitely drew the short straw in having to follow them, so thank you all so very much. So greetings from Ascendium Education Group, formerly known as Great Lakes Higher Education Guarantee Corporation and Affiliates. I also bring greetings from Amy Kerwin. As Marcia mentioned, she is our VP of Philanthropy at Ascendium and unfortunately could not be here with us today, but certainly wanted to illustrate our commitment to this work and the great work across the state of Ohio and have representation here. Also want to acknowledge the other funders that helped contribute to this activity. As Colleen illustrated, what's really great about that list is that you have both national, regional, and local funders really committed to this work and being able to see the power of collaboration to really pilot this work and then be able to see it institutionalized and taken to scale, which is certainly something that we all are really interested in. When Ascendium first explored the opportunity of bringing this to Ohio, Ohio is a focus state of ours, and wanted to understand, this New York is a particular context, as we heard earlier, and wanted to better understand how would you replicate this amazing program in a different geographical context with maybe some different challenges, not having kind of the same type of transportation system. What would we need to change and could it be successful? And so we are so thrilled to see the 2-year findings to be able to say, yes, this works. And really excited to be kind of a catalytic force as we, as philanthropy can be, is an opportunity to pilot and then study and then really with bold leadership encourage institutions, states, and hopefully the nation to replicate this project. And that's something that we as a funder community are continuing to look at is, are there opportunities to take these lessons learned, to have opportunities to embed it in state policy or at the national level so that we have thousands of students like the ones that you heard today benefiting from these types of holistic support services to really move the needle nationally. And that's one of the things that we're really deeply committed to as a philanthropic organization. So wanted to just note and really appreciate Brett's comments around really seeing this as a holistic approach to student success and not necessarily a boutique program helping a finite amount of students. We've been really impressed with the opportunity to see both at ASAP as well as here in SAIL, the opportunities to think about transforming institutional policies and practices, the means to rethink academic advising, to rethink how students might be placed in developmental education. It really is an opportunity to have wholesale change on a college campus, and that's something that certainly we've been really appreciative of and thankful for the opportunity to participate in. And I think I'll just close by saying we're Excited to continue to see the great work here in Ohio, and really excited to think about what we can do in terms of moving the needle for student success even beyond Ohio and have this really be a national movement. So thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca. Dr. Ballinger, come on up for final comments. When Dr. Ballinger is done, if you have an interest, if there are media members in the room and you have an interest in speaking, asking questions for any of our speakers today, please come up to the front podium here. We'll gather them and connect you to them. And also we ask you, if you'd like to stay for lunch, we will have that for you as well. So thank you. Dr. Ballinger?
Thanks, Ron. What an inspiration our student panelists have been. And what we're committed to at Lorain County Community College as we sail, that's a tongue twister almost to say, we no longer want to have those screens, because that was part of the program group and control group, because this was a research study. We know it works. I don't want students to have to go through answering all the questions to wait to get to that last screen to see whether or not you become part of SAIL. And so our commitment at Lorain County Community College is we're scaling it. That's why we took 215 students into it. In fact, because Matt and Cynthia and Whitney are so terrific, our goal was 150 students. We had 215 who wanted to do it, and so guess what? It was 215. And And to do that, that means how do we transform what we do and how we do it to make that opportunity available to those who can go full-time, and those nudges to get them there, and all of those supports. And so we are so thrilled to see all the results in Ohio today, and very excited as we forge ahead and think about all the opportunities in Ohio with our other community colleges, 21 others in addition to the 3 of us who did this. And here at our college, it's scaling to SAIL. So thank you. And now, I invite you to stay for lunch. We have a buffet that is set up right to my left, to your right. So please feel free to continue the conversations, meet our students and advisors, and enjoy lunch.